Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, and today I'm going to be reviewing the first two seasons of Young Justice. This is a DC animated show. I believe it was on Cartoon Network. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, I watched it online. It's from a couple of years ago. You may have heard of it. It's gonna come back soon for a third season. It was originally canceled, but I think Netflix is picking it up. So, yeah, I was kind of interested in it, and I watched the first two seasons a couple months ago, actually. I'll be a little honest with you on that. And I just haven't gotten around to doing a review on these first two seasons, so here we are. Let's talk about it a bit. So the plot is that it follows the team. That's all they're actually called. But basically this team in the Justice League, that's all the young heroes. Just the starting roster, because later on they get a ton of people in this team. But the starting roster is Robin, Aqualad, Kid Flash, Superboy, Miss Martian, and Artemis. Is that it? I think that's it. I'm not leaving anyone out. Because that's 6, and 6 is a nice even number. Yeah. I think that's it. For the initial roster. Then, like I said, they get a lot more people on board. It actually can be kind of confusing on who's who, actually. If you don't know the comics, but they do give decent introductions to all the characters. So it basically just revolves around the core team of the 6, and it's just their, adventures. They're going off on missions to take care of bad guys that the Justice League normally wouldn't. Or not that the Justice League normally wouldn't, but something like, I guess, smaller scale than what the Justice League would normally do. Occasionally they do work with the Justice League in some missions. And that's pretty much the premise of the show. Quickly talking about Season 1. Season 1 is good, but it had a bit of a slow start. I felt like the characters hadn't found their groove yet, and the show really didn't find its groove yet in the first season. The episodes were good, none of them were really bad or anything. It's just that they weren't, spectacular or amazing. But as the season progresses, they get really good. The team starts actually functioning as a good team. They're not arguing with each other anymore and stuff like that. They're actually getting along, and they're getting smart, honestly, and getting better with how they take out these villains. And actually, one interesting way to highlight this, kind of, is that originally, Connor, Superboy, he pretty much starts off as the worst character on the show for me. He was just always angry, always, just going in head first, not thinking of a plan, not thinking of anything, just going in, punching things, was always, angry and stuff. He actually grows to become my favorite character. Connor is my favorite character by the end of these two seasons. And he does start to become my favorite character by the end of Season 1. Is that he starts to get happier, he starts, coming up with plans, he's not, just a hothead. He really becomes a hero. And which I know is a weird thing to just kind of say, but it's true, he starts to become an actual hero, if that makes any sense. All the other characters are fine. Probably, okay, so other than Connor, my favorite is probably Aqualad. There's something about him. He's just kind of cool, because he's kind of got almost all of their attributes together, combined into him. He's a planner and a leader like Robin is, or he's kind of the muscle like Connor is, and stuff like that. But there's something about him. He's just cool and nice about him, and he's honestly my second favorite character behind Connor. I guess the other thing to talk about with season 1 is kind of the villains, the light. I thought they were okay. Granted, because the show has not properly finished yet, spoiler alert, they don't defeat the light at the end of season 1. The light continues on into the second season and pretty much to the end of the show. Because I haven't seen a third season, they really have not done much, I think. Again, this was a couple months ago, so if you really know the show and, everything I'm saying is just a bunch of crap, then, I guess take all this with a grain of salt. It's been a little while since I've actually seen the show, but it was about time I did a review. So, I thought the light was okay. They were better than, like, the Injustice League that they had for one episode, which is a shame because the Injustice League has the Joker in it. It's Brent Spiner as the Joker, and boy, he does not fit as the Joker. And I love Brent Spiner, but he's not a good Joker. I hate to say that. And that would have actually been cool if they had, the Joker, the real Joker. If they had, like, Mark Hamill's Joker in this show to be an amazing villain against the team. But I thought the light was okay. We really don't get a whole lot of them, even when they are the main focus. So that's basically season 1, is that it starts off very okay, and it gets really good at the end. They all get good, basically. I don't know how else I can say that. Season 2, we're gonna talk a little spoilers for season 2, so if you really haven't seen Young Justice, probably some spoilers here. We're not going to talk too many spoilers about season 2 or season 1, but because I'm talking about season 2, I got to talk about some things that happened in season 1. So if you haven't seen Young Justice, it's a good show. I like it. Now we're going to get into a couple spoilers. Between seasons 1 and season 2, there's a 5-year gap, which is very strange. In fact, at the end of season 1, it's just like 5 years later, and you're just kind of thinking, like, why is it 5 years later? And so, but now, 5 years later, everyone's a little older. Robin has become Nightwing, actually. There's more members to the team. There's, like, Wonder Girl, and someone, and the Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's actually kind of cool. He's a decent character. But you learn a bunch of stuff, like, okay, okay, so, like, Kid Flash and Artemis are retired. You're thinking, what the heck, they're retired? What? And, like, Aqualad is actually, evil now. And you're just thinking, like, what the crap? And I'm thinking, like, oh no, they're messing with the team, We had this, at the end of season 1, we have this good functioning team, and now they're all split apart. Aqualad's evil, Kid Flash and Artemis are retired. Megan and Connor don't like each other anymore, and you're just thinking, like, what the heck? What happened to the team, And now we have all these new people who I don't really care about because we haven't established them yet, and I'm just thinking, did this show just, like, lose me? But when you realize everything that's happened in these 5 years, you start to get it. There's some stuff revealed about Aqualad, which leads into stuff with Kid Flash and Artemis and stuff like that. Connor is still just fun. Even though he's still kind of angry all the time, he's still fun. It's early on in season 2 where him, Wolf, Sphere, and Blue Beetle just go on a little adventure. They just go on a little mission. because that is another thing I guess I forgot to mention about Connor, is that he just keeps getting these pets. He has Spear originally, and then he has Wolf, and he just keeps them as pets, and they go and they fight together, and it's just kind of fun and stuff. And then so they get Blue Beetle, and they just do a little mission, and it's just fun. I don't know how they took this character who was just angry all the time. He was just angry, and I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't care about this character. He's not a good character. Now, he's my favorite character, honestly. And Aqualad is pretty close, but I'd say Connor is probably my favorite character in all this. And so, yeah, so there's that. Again, like I said, there's revelations about what happened in the 5 years that we missed. Some things, like, they figure out, like, at the end of Season 1, something happens, and they only figure out what happened 5 years later, now in Season 2, and Batman's like, oh, we've been trying to figure this out for 5 years, and it's like, come on, you're Batman, you gotta figure this out in 5 years, but no, it's 5 years before they ever figure it out. Yeah, I don't know, that's just one of those things where I don't normally just be like, well, he's Batman, so clearly something should have happened, or something. Like, he's Batman, so that happened because he's Batman. But it's like, but that's one of those things where it's like, you always hear he's the greatest detective ever, and I'm just thinking like, okay, in 5 years, Batman never figured this out? Come on, he's Batman. But yeah, the villains in Season 2 I thought were okay. They did a little bit more than the Light, I would say, and for the most part, they were okay. Alright, here's one great thing about Season 2. They introduced this character. He's like this talk show guy, and he just hates the Justice League for some reason. And they keep cutting back to his, like, news reports of how the Justice League is bad, you know, why should we have them? They're terrible and stuff. And that is basically his character. Here's what makes him not insufferable, is that he would be a terrible character, like, poorly written. I would hate him, he'd just be annoying, except he's voiced by Tim Curry. Suddenly, this is the most entertaining character. This is G. Gordon Godfrey. And he literally does nothing but just ridicule people on the air. But it's Tim Curry, so it works. It's just fun because it's Tim Curry, and Tim Curry's a lot of fun. So there's that. One thing I guess I forgot to mention in Season 1 that I just remembered now is Superman. Because Connor is actually like a clone of Superman, just with less powers, and they're basically playing up like, well, he's Superman's son, basically. Superman doesn't want any part of this guy. He's like, no, I don't care, I don't like this, I'm not going to talk to him, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to ignore him and just move on with my life. And he's kind of a jerk about it, and I'm thinking, well, that's not Superman. It's like, okay, I get why, like, just having him, like, be bothered by this is like, okay, that is something interesting. It's like, you know, maybe he has, like, a hard time, he has a hard time with Connor, like, he can never fully accept him or something, but, like, they don't share, like, any screen time until the end of Season 1. And I don't get it. It's just Superman is always just kind of a jerk to Connor. And I don't get it. It's like, that's not Superman. You know, Superman would be like, okay, I have a son, a clone of myself. Okay, well, I should probably help him with his powers. You know, help him, you know, become a good person. You know, I need to help him because he is my son. It's like, that's what should happen. It's okay if he's bothered by it, even if, like, maybe he can't even, or even if it's just like he's still uncomfortable around Connor, that's okay, but that's not what happens. And that kind of bugs me, that they couldn't get Superman right. That is remedied later, pretty much at the end of Season 1 and into Season 2, that's pretty much remedied. But in the majority of Season 1, that bothered me. And that's about it, I would say. So again, it was a good show, I'm glad I watched it, but it took a little while to, get its footing, and I don't know, it was very and then it was good, but then at the beginning of Season 2 it was and then you realize things and it's like, oh wait, that was good. It's like, if I probably if I rewatched the show, and like the beginning of Season 2, I would probably like it more now that I know things that happened later in Season 2. So that's basically it, is that it's just good. It just got a bit of a rough start. Yeah, that is pretty much it. End cards are going to pop up right about now. You can click on those. You can follow 7th Hour Films on Twitter, at 7th Hour Films. And that's pretty much it. I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Oh god, take care.